Good afternoon, children. We were doing the chapter, The Ultimate Sacrifice, which is chapter number 15 in your textbooks. So we will continue from where we left off on Monday, and that is the last paragraph of page number 136. So all of you can open your books to page number 136. So we know that Carton had switched places with Charles Darnay in the prison. So who was going to die instead of Charles Darnay? In his place, Sidney Carton, the lawyer, was going to die at the guillotine that day. Since they resembled each other, Sidney Carton switched places with Charles Darnay in the prison, and he did this. This was the ultimate sacrifice that he made because of his love for Lucy. Okay, because Lucy was the woman whom he loved, but whom he could not marry because she was already married to Charles Darnay, and therefore he decided that instead of Charles Darnay, he was going to take up his place at the guillotine and be killed, so that Lucy, whom he loved a lot, could stay happily with her husband. Okay, so that this sacrifice he had made for Lucy and her child because because of his love for the woman. Let us see what happened, because we left off where they were taken, the prisoners were all taken, the 52 prisoners who were going to die that day were being taken to the guillotine. A pale young woman got up when she saw Carton enter. "Citizen Evermond," she said, touching him with her cold hand, "I am the servant girl you met in La Force." La Force, underline La Force, is a city in France. Is a city in France. So there was a young woman who was looking very pale. Pale means her face had gone white, probably because she was very, very scared that she was going to die very soon. And when she saw, Evermond means Charles Darnay. Charles Darnay was called Evermond when he was staying in France. Remember, when he went to England, he changed his name from Charles Evermond to Charles Darnay. So when he went uh, when she saw this Sidney Carton enter, she also presumed that this was Evermond, that is, this was Charles Darnay, because everybody knew that Charles Darnay was going to was sentenced to death. So she thought that this was Charles Darnay, and therefore she got up and she asked him, "Do you remember me? You had met me at La Force." La Force is a city in France. So she was a servant girl. So she was poor. She was not a rich person. The people who were being killed here were monarchs, kings, aristocrats, the people who had exercised power on the common man and had tortured the common man. But why was this poor servant girl here? What had she done? True, I forget. What you were accused of? Then Sidney Carton, because he had never met this girl. Remember that this girl had probably met Charles Darnay and not Sidney Carton. But Sidney Carton had to hide his identity. Therefore, he lied and he said, "Yes, I remember. True, I remember that I have met you, but I'm forgetting. Why are you here? What have you been accused of? Why are you being killed?" Plots. Plots means, the girl replied, that I have been accused of plotting against the people in favor of the government. Like I was working as a servant girl only, but I have been accused of plotting. What plots? I do not know. So this girl had didn't even have an idea what plots were being referred to. She said that I don't know which plots I have been what I have been plotting. I don't know my crime myself, but they told me that I have been plotting. Therefore, uh, I have been sentenced to death. The sad smile with which she said this brought tears to Carton's eyes. So The girl was looking very sad because she did not even know what she had done, why she was being sentenced to such a harsh punishment. To be beheaded at the guillotine is, for a young girl, it is very scary. And on top of that, she didn't even know what her crime was. So she, although she had a smile when she saw Charles Evermont, because when you are in a difficult situation and you see someone whom you probably know, and suddenly you see someone that you know this person, so you feel certain degree of comfort. So that girl smiled when she recognized Charles Darnay and told him that, do you remember that you have met me before? We have met before. But at the same time, that smile was overshadowed by the sadness she had in her eyes. Her eyes were so sad. With which she said this also brought tears. That means Carton also could feel pity. So his eyes were also watery at the what she said. Looking at the girl, her sad smile, he also wanted to cry. I'm feeling a little weak and I need courage, Citizen Evermont. So this servant girl admitted to Citizen Evermont because she knew him. She could confess to him. She said, I'm feeling very, very scared, and I don't know, I want a little courage. I'm in a need of courage. So may I hold your hand? So she asked Evermont that whether she could hold his hand for comfort, because she was feeling very scared. She asked Evermont, that is Carton actually, that I'm feeling very weak. I don't have the courage anymore to face what is going to come. Therefore, please allow me to hold your hand. Her eyes looked up to his and she suddenly realized. What did she realize? We'll come to know. She was astonished. Are you dying for him? She whispered. So when she actually, for the first time, looked at the face of Evermont properly, the person whom she was referring to as Evermont, when she properly looked at his face, she suddenly realized. What did she realize? That this was not Evermont, because she had met him before. So she may have known that there was a difference between the person whom she was seeing now and the person whom she had met before. So she asked him that, who are you and are you dying in his place? In whose place? In Charles Darnay's place. Are you going to die for him? She questions him that, I know that you are not Citizen Evermont. I realize it now that I have seen you closely. I realize that you are not Citizen Evermont. So are you going to die in place of him? And his wife and child. Yes. So Sidney Carton, now that he had been caught by this girl had recognized that he was not Charles Darnay. He told her to keep quiet. He said, shh. And yes, I'm dying not only to save Charles Darnay, but I'm dying for his wife and his child. Oh, you will let me hold your hand, brave stranger. So she again asks, now that she realizes that this is not Citizen Evermont, she asks him that, since you are a stranger now to me, I don't know who you are. I just know that you are sacrificing your life for Charles Darnay. So then he became a stranger for the girl. So again, she questions him that, even though you are a stranger, can I hold your hand? I'm feeling so shaky. I'm feeling so terrible. I'm feeling so afraid. Can I hold your hand? Yes, my sister, whispered Carton, to the very end. So Carton told him, till the very end means till the time comes for us to leave each other and be beheaded at the guillotine, you can hold my hand. Okay. So till the very end means till the end, till our end comes, till we meet our death, you can hold my hand. At that same moment, a coach was stopping at the barrier. Now the scene is shifting to the other side of Paris. Okay, here we know that these people are being taken to be beheaded at the guillotine. Now this paragraph is totally to a different side of Paris. At that same moment, a coach was stopping at the barrier. You know, when the police or somebody puts up a barrier so that nobody crosses that barrier without being checked. So that was the kind of barrier that had been put up in Paris and various places, so that people The aristocracy, the kings, the monarchs, the diplomats could not escape. So they were checking the routes which were leading out of Paris or France. They were checking each and every route. There were checkpoints. You know what checkpoints are, because the police, the traffic police also lays down these barriers. So we are in that part of France now where there was a barrier and a coach was moving, and the coach was being the coach stopped at one of the barriers. The travelers' papers were handed out. So there were some travelers inside the coach. Their papers means the documents of your identity. Now, like we have Aadhaar card to show or our passport to show when we are going from one state to another, when we are crossing by road, you must have seen that our documents that are checked at every point, and then when you cross the barriers from one state to another, and you have to pay a certain amount also. So here the travelers' papers, they showed their papers. They took out their papers and they were handed out to the people who were checking the papers at the barrier and examined by the guard. So there was a guard at the barrier and the papers were handed out from by the people who were there in the coach, and they were checked by the guard. Alexander Manet, Doctor French. So one of the documents was of whom? Alexander Manet. I told you Dr. Manet was the father of Lucy and the father-in-law of Charles Darnay. So Lucy's father. He was the first person in the coach. So he was a French. I told you that he was imprisoned in French. He belonged to France, and he had also escaped from France to England with his daughter Lucy. Okay. So first person in the coach was Alexander Manet. Lucy, his daughter, French. So second person in the coach was Lucy. The child, English. Their child, Lucy and Charles Darnay's daughter. She was English. Why was she English? Because they got married in England. And therefore, the child was a British citizen, an English citizen. Whereas Lucy was a French citizen who had migrated to England. The child was born in England. Therefore, her paper, her documents, it was written that she was English. Jarvis Lorry, the banker, English. I told you that the banker, Mr. Lorry, whom Charles Darnay had written a letter to because he was a very trusted friend of the family. He was a banker. He was a manager of the Tellson's Bank. Okay. So he was one of the persons who was there with the family all along when they escaped with Charles Darnay from Paris to London. So Jarvis Lorry, banker, English. He was a banker in England. So his citizenship was also English. Sydney Carton, lawyer, English. So now the fifth person there was Sydney Carton. The document shown was of the lawyer Sydney Carton, who was a lawyer in England. But actually in his place, who was traveling? Charles Darnay was going out of Paris. He was escaping under the name, under the document of Sydney Carton, who was now going to be executed in his place at the guillotine. So understand, children, that the coach, now the scene has shifted to a barrier where these people are trying to go back to England. The family, the entire family of Charles Darnay, along with the lawyer, along with the banker, Jarvis Lorry, is trying to escape from Paris to England with Charles Darnay, who was almost about to die at the guillotine, but because of the sacrifice of Sydney Carton, he is now able to go back to England with his family. So in the coach, there was Alexander Manet, the doctor, his daughter Lucy, Lucy's daughter, Sydney Carton, the lawyer, and Jarvis Lorry, the banker. These were the five people who were going back in the coach. The guard was amused when he was told that the sleeping lawyer was drunk. So they did not want the guard to see the face of, examine the face of Charles Darnay very closely so that he would recognize him. Therefore, they told him that he is drunk. He's so drunk that he is sleeping. So the guard also laughed that, look at this person. He is so drunk that he is sleeping. A foolish young man, he will soon wake up in the fresh air of the country, said Mr. Lorry, who had replied to all the previous questions. So Mr. Lorry was the person who was replying to all the questions of the guards. Okay. So Mr. Lorry told the guard that he is a very foolish young man. He always drinks so much that he becomes unconscious. I think the fresh air of the country, when we reach the countryside, he will wake up. The guard signed all the traveling papers. So this line is important. Why? That he gave them permission to go back to England. So their papers were all checked by the guard and they were allowed to move out of Paris. So this is significant that this is how Charles Darnay escaped his punishment and went back to London. Can we leave, citizen? Mr. Lorry asked. So Mr. Lorry asked the guard, if our papers are all okay, can we leave? Your road is clear, a good journey. So the guard wished them a happy journey and he said, yes, your papers are all okay, you can move. Now we are back. We are back to the execution scene where the people, the 52 people, are being taken to be executed. Along the Paris streets, 6 death carts roll. Now, the carts generally were the vehicles which they were using. They were dragged by horses and they were using them, the carts, to carry the people who were going to die that day at the guillotine. Therefore, these carts are being referred to as death carts because they were carrying those 52 people who were going to die that day. So they from the prison, they were being taken to the guillotine in these carts. Carrying the day's wine to the guillotine. Day's wine refers to the day's prisoners who were going to be sentenced to death. That day they were going to die. So those, the day's wine, that day's lot of people who were about to be killed. Among the 52, now this paragraph is important in the sense that the reaction of the people, how the people were behaving, those people who knew that in a few minutes they were about to die. What is the reaction of those people who are about to be, suppose a capital punishment of death is given to some people, and how they react when they know that just a few minutes are left or just a few hours before they are all going to die. So what is the reaction of those people? What were these people doing in the cart when they were in the cart traveling to the guillotine? Among the 52, some observed the sights along their last road with a steady, expressionless stare. So some of them were just staring at the road without any expression. Steady means without blinking their eyes, they were just observing the sights along the road. Others still watch with interest the ways of life and men. So others were looking at the men. You know, the carts were passing, and the common people who had done this, who had organized this revolution, they were enjoying. They were on both sides of the road. There were people who had gathered to see these prisoners who were going to die, and they were cheering and shouting. They were making noise that these people finally are being going to be killed, these traitors of the country, these people who had tortured us. So imagine the carts were moving and these people on both sides of the road were shouting. So the people in the cart, some of them had no expression in their eyes and they were looking at the road without any expression. They were just lost to the idea. They knew that they were going to die. They had nothing to see. Others were watching, some of them were looking at the people gathered around with interest, some with their heads down, some were just putting their heads down, not looking at anything, are sunk in silent sadness. Okay, some with their heads down are sunk in silent sadness. Some of them were looking down and they were quiet, they were not saying anything, there was just sadness in their eyes. Several closed their eyes and tried to gather their last thoughts, and many of them were just closing their eyes. They didn't want to see or hear anything, and they were trying to recollect the memories of their life. They were trying whatever their last thoughts in mind they were coming, they were just closing their eyes and thinking of something else. One man is so drunk with horror that he sings and tries to dance. So one of them had a very peculiar reaction to this whole situation. He was very drunk and he was horrified, he was terrified, and therefore he did not know how to react. So he was singing and dancing. So these are the different reactions of different people who were going to die that day. The people along the roadside are curious to know which one is ever mourned. So he was the main center of attraction that day, because he was one of the most, among the most famous families of France. So he was among the most famous diplomatic families of Paris. Therefore, all eyes were curiously looking for only Evermond. They wanted to see which of the prisoners is Evermond. No, although most people did not recognize his face, but they were looking for him. He is standing at the back of a cart talking to a young servant girl who holds his hand. So he was standing, Evermond or Carton was standing at the back of one of the carts, and he was still holding the hand of the servant girl. He shows no interest in the scene around him, only in the girl. Here and there in the long street of Saint Honore, cries are heard against him. Down Evermond, shouts an excited man. To the guillotine, all aristocrats, down Evermond. So what was happening was that he was not showing any interest in what was going around, and he was just looking, concentrating on the girl and giving her courage, holding her hand, asking her not to be afraid. And on the street, what was happening was, they were, Saint Honore is the name of the street in Paris from where these carts were passing. So people were crying out, cheering. One of the men excitedly shouts that down Evermond. He takes the name of Evermond and he said, good, today Evermond is going to die, and all aristocrats are going to die like this, one by one. They are going to die at the guillotine. He turns to the man next to him. Which one is he? So although this man is shouting loudly, down Evermond, he's shouting, he does not know who Evermond is. So he turns to the man who is standing beside him, and he asks him which one of these prisoners is Evermond. There at the back of the third cart, replies John Bursard. So you remember John Bursard? Who was John Bursard, who helped Sidney Carton exchange places in the prison? So two men came singing into the prison. I told you that John Bursard was the one who helped Sidney Carton get into the prison. So he is standing also there among the crowd, looking at Sidney Carton. Obviously, he recognized, because he had helped him to change places. So he was standing among the crowd, and when this man asks him which of them is Evermond, Bursard replies that he is there at the back of the third cart. Down Evermond, the man continues. Here the spelling of Evermond, yeah. Evermond's face turned toward him. He sees the spy, and their eyes meet for a moment. Now you come to know that John Bursard was a spy. You know who a spy is, kind of detective, but he is not exactly a detective by profession. Spies were sent in those days from one country to another to see what was going on, to carry secrets from one country to another. So John Bursard had come from England to Paris, and he was actually a spy who used to sit quietly in one corner, listen to the people, what they are talking, what's happening, and carry the important information or secrets of one country to another. So this John Bursard was a spy. He had actually been tried for spying a lot of times in court. So he had helped Sidney Carton escape, and therefore these two, when they saw each other, they recognized each other, and their eyes met for a moment. The clocks ring out 3 as the carts arrive at the guillotine. So remember, they had moved from the prison at 2 o'clock, and they arrived at the guillotine. These carts all arrived at the guillotine at 3 p.m. In front of the terrible machine, seated in chairs, women are busily knitting, waiting for today's entertainment. So I told you that even the women were involved in this French Revolution. They had also played a very important role in the revolution, because they were the ones who used to pass on information, all sorts of information, that who is the next target, who should they now capture, assist. They were used to transfer information. These women had played a very important role in the French Revolution, and therefore in front of the terrible machine refers to the guillotine, and they were sitting in chairs in front of that machine, and they were knitting as if it was normal. It was normal to see so much of blood, to see so much of bloodshed, and people being killed by their heads being cut off. It was very normal for them, because they had been waiting for this revolution. They had planned for a long time, 10 years. After 10 years of planning, they had succeeded in overthrowing the monarch. And therefore, every day when these people were brought to the guillotine to be killed, these people used to sit in chairs around the guillotine, the machine, and watched the proceedings. They used to watch the beheading of the people, and therefore it is referred to as entertainment, because it was entertainment for them. Evermond gets out of the cart with the servant girl. He turns her back to the machine, which is already at work. Holding his hands, she says, I think you were sent to me by heaven. So Evermond and the girl get out from their cart. He turns her back to the machine so that she could not see, because the machine had already started its work. So already people were being beheaded, because Evermond and the girl were in the third cart. So probably the carts which had come before them, they had already started the beheading. And therefore, because the girl was so scared, Evermond Sydney Carton here, in this case, Sydney Carton turned the girl's back towards the machine so that she could not see, and therefore she could not be more scared before her death. And the girl also was very relieved to have someone close to her, and she told him that, I think God has sent you. You were sent to me by heaven at this moment to support me. And you to me, dear child, says Sydney Carton, keep your eyes on me, think of no other object. So Sydney Carton also consoled her. He said, yes, if you say that I have been sent to you from God, you have also been sent to me by God at this hour. I'm also feeling a little scared. This line shows that he was also scared, and therefore he was continuously holding on to this girl. And he told her that you only look at me, keep your eyes on me, look at me, think of no other object, do not think of anything else, just look at me. I think only of you. Will they be quick? So the girl replied that, yes, I'm only thinking about you. And are they going to be quick? Am I going to feel any pain? She was still scared, and she questions him, are they going to be quick? Am I going to feel the pain? They will be quick. Don't be afraid. So he assures the girl, yes, it will be very quick. You won't feel the pain. So don't be afraid. They speak as if they were alone, eye to eye, voice to voice, hand to hand, heart to heart, two children of the universal mother. Universal mother refers to the mother of Jesus Christ here, which is Mary. You must have heard of Mother Mary, is the mother of Jesus Christ. So they were talking to each other as if they were alone. There was no one else around. They were not thinking of anybody else but about each other. They were looking into each other's eyes. They were listening to only each other's voices. Therefore, eye to eye means they were looking at each other. Voice to voice means they were only talking to each other. Hand to hand means they were holding each other's hand. Heart to heart means within their heart they were feeling so good that at least at this point where our life is going to end, we have somebody there. Brave and generous friend, your kind, strong face gives me so much support. Is the moment come? So again, the servant girl is saying to Carton that you are a brave person. You are so generous that you agreed to hold my hand. You have a kind face and you are full of strength. You are not looking afraid at all. And looking at you, I feel so comforted. Thank you for your support. And then she asks him, has my time come to go? Yes, sweet child. So Evermond answers that yes, your time has come. She kisses him. They say goodbye, knowing they will see each other again soon. Where will they see each other? In heaven, because they were going to die at the same time. So they knew that they will meet in heaven now. And they say their goodbyes. They say goodbye to each other. Her hand does not tremble as it leaves his. The knitting women count 22. So see, she was the 22nd person to die that day. And the women who were knitting and watching the entertainment, they were counting who is dying, numbers. So today, the number at which she was executed was, her number was 22, the girls, the servant girl. As Carton saw the crowd push forward to see him die like a great mass of water, he repeated a line from the Bible, I am the resurrection and the life, said the Lord. So now, after the servant girl, it was the turn of Sidney Carton to be executed at the guillotine. And when he comes forward, all the crowd, they were so curious only to see Evermond die that day. He was the star prisoner to be killed, as if he was a celebrity. So everyone wanted to see his execution closely. So everybody was coming forward to see him as if a mass of water was coming forward. And Sidney Carton, before he died, he repeated a line from the Bible. And the line was this, you have to quote, if you are asked about this line, you have to quote the line, I am the resurrection and the life, said the Lord. Resurrection means Jesus Christ, he died and then he came back to life on Good Friday. So Christians believe that there is life after death. So this is a line from the Bible he said before dying. As he stared down into the blood-stained basket, he thought, I go to a far, far better rest than I have ever known. So before dying, this whole scene has been created like it was such a bloody scene that everybody who was being killed there at the guillotine, when he looked down, when it was his turn to be beheaded, he saw that the basket was already stained with so much blood of the 22 people who had been killed before him. And he thought to himself that I'm going to after my death, I'm going to a far better place, a much better place than I have ever known in my life. So he thought that he was, by this sacrifice which he was making, he was going to go to heaven, and heaven would be a much better place than what life was on earth till now. 23. So the after he was executed. Why are they saying 23? But after these lines, he is executed. Sidney Carton is beheaded, and the crowd is counting 23. People said that night that when his head was held up, his face was the most peaceful they had ever seen. So after his death, the people were discussing amongst themselves that when it was time for Evermond or Sidney Carton to die in his place, in the place of Evermond, the face of Evermond looked so peaceful that they had never seen such a peaceful face when the face was going to meet with such a painful death. The death was going to be so painful, yet the face had an unusual calm, an unusual peace. Because why? Because he thought that he was going to a far better place than this world. Okay, so he had prepared himself, and this sacrifice, that is the name of the chapter, is justified, because it was a huge sacrifice which Sidney Carton made. He gave away his life for Lucy, the girl whom he loved, or the woman whom he loved. It was the ultimate sacrifice. Nobody could make such a huge sacrifice for someone they loved. And therefore, he had absolute peace and calm on his face when ultimately he died. He met his death. So this is where the story ends.